in 7 years since North America got this far. Getting here was not supposed to happen. And now, as we get into Champ Select, presented by HyperX here for the first time today, we'll see if LYON can find another miracle or if HLE will prove their might.
Yeah, HLE really want to try and get that rematch against BLG in the finals. A ton of world champions on their side, but not an MSI to speak of. Still waiting to add that to their trophy cabinet, but it starts with trying to take down LYON here today.
And I think that's kind of the beauty of HLE is that they are trying to establish their own legacy, separate themselves from these other teams, other rosters, other players that they have played with in the past. And this team is absolutely looking terrifying. And they are going to have their eyes set on the finals. They are going to be expected to crush LYON, and I wonder if that does add a little bit more pressure.
Right. We think back to HLE's last series against BLG, which was rough. They won the single game. Otherwise, BLG very dominant, especially in those first 2 games. But you think previously in the tournament, HLE absolutely smashed both Secret Whales and G2 in swift 3-0.
I do like the prep that we have from Hanwha coming in towards draft, though, because already getting rid of Saints, the Orianna and the Akali, 2 champions he's been great on. But the Lee Sin from Inspired as well has been one of the most impressive picks for me coming into it. So, yeah, that is fair.
I know. That up.
Well, they've been thinking pretty hard about it because he's been impeccable on this champion. And I think trying to remove some of those tools where he can be active in the early stage is going to be great.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, his Lee Sin has been absolutely inspired, if you'll allow me to say.
Okay,
so far
all right. We're not even making it past Champ Select before you do this.
Gotta get warmed up, you know?
Okay.
Ease into it. Cassio going to be banned out, which does allow them to take the Ryze. And Zeka, it'll be interesting to see where he wants to go. He has played the Anivia once. We're getting an early Qiyana, though. That is pretty surprising here for Inspired. Obviously is something that can, dash out of that Cataclysm. That is going to be able to have a lot of threat. But drafting it so early, you do not know if there are vulnerable carries over on the other side for you to attack.
Well, one thing that I immediately think of, yes, you can dash out of the Cataclysm, but you can also supremely display your talent back into it, potentially turn the ulti back against HLE.
It also means that for a lot of the picks that you want to try and take into the Ryze, those are vulnerable to the Qiyana as well. So maybe that's basically what they're thinking here. But already we're seeing what was going to be the Gumayusi Delight special. This Ziggs and Camille in the bottom side. Delight wants to get out on the map early.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see how LYON respond now. Do you actually match any of the roles here? It looks like they're going to go double solo lanes. And then, of course, HLE could be targeting the bot lane picks. It potentially... This is really nice. So it is going to be Poppy. This is a potential flex. It could be top or support. I do like this kind of new shift towards you're looking to actually counter the Camille instead of looking towards countering the actual ADC. People are thinking, okay, well, we're just going to draft poke and we're going to poke back and forth with the Ziggs and then they get engaged on a die. Yeah. And some of these teams now, we've seen things like Talia Leona going into the Camille, which makes it so hard to make plays. And I think that Poppy is that same premise. It's making it very difficult for the Camille to ever go in aggressively. And so I am kind of feeling like it's likely to be played by Isles unless we see something blinded by Zeus. That is a good matchup.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like we see basically this trend of supports that are valuable at level 3 and having that steadfast presence so good when you're able to move them around the map. Then you move back to that bot lane around the 8-minute mark, so you get that catch-up XP, and then you get access to the level 6. And Poppy is a menace in team fights against people like Jarvan because he goes in, half your team goes out. You're going to be happy with that as line.
And you can also stop Ziggs from being able to escape with the satchel if you're positioned correctly with the steadfast presence. So Poppy having value against all 3 choices already locked in here for HLE will provide a lot of value. The Gnar and the Annie banned out by LYON here in the second phase, while Ezreal is the target ban here for HLE.
Something I really think about, too, is having talked to Inspired, and he said this in interviews as well, when he is playing against players he thinks he is better than, he doesn't want to take risks. He wants to play really steady. When he's playing against someone like HLE that he says, okay, you are the better team, we need to get spicy. We need to have surprise picks. We need to have aggressive moves. We need to take risks, because if you play too stable of a game, you are kind of just playing into their hands. So that is what I'm thinking of with this Flex Poppy, with this Camille, rather the Qiyana coming in early.
And the final ban of the draft here for game 1 is the Vayne. that target ban towards Dhokla, getting rid of one of those ranged top laner counter picks. It's very different to play against. It creates a pattern where if you're not ready for it, you could be caught off guard. We remember the performance on Vayne earlier in the tournament from Broken Blade on that Vayne that really kind of showcased that. So HLE doesn't want to deal with it. Instead, we're going to see the Syndra locked in for Zeka.
Yeah, I wonder if it is just going to be something along the lines of a Sion or a Cassante. That's kind of what I was thinking of when I did see this Vayne ban. Of course, it can be good into the Renekton as well. This is the winless Sion, though. 0-9 so far at the tournament. I'm going to be so curious to see where Dhokla decides to go. Does he just want to go tank for tank, play the Poppy, or does he want to go something a little bit more spicy, play for that 1v1?
I kind of like the tank because, honestly, there's not much in the way of AD damage on the opposite side. Sure, you got the Jarvan, but realistically, you can match with something that, I mean, even there's a hen can go towards like a death stance. I think you get not a death stance. If you can go towards that early magic resist, I think you're in an okay spot, but just going to go for the Ambessa, looking to see if he can carry from that top lane.
Yeah, going to be going towards the Ambessa, and there is quite a bit of setup. So there are some interesting combinations. You talked about the interaction, obviously, with the Supreme Display of Talent into the Cataclysm. There is also the possibilities of the Poppy stunning people into the Cataclysm as well. There's possibilities of you then get any of that CC. The Ambessa all comes over the top. You have setups both from the Poppy as well as the Qiyana. You have setups from a Jhin root, from a Ryze W. There are a lot of ways to try to set up that Ambessa. If you can get in on the backline, attack the Ziggs, attack the Syndra, that is the goal. They're going to have to be creative with their angles because you cannot fight through the Sion with a comp like this. But LYON has had good setup, has had good prep, so I'm excited to see how they want to play it.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and ask you, gentlemen, then, with all 10 champions locked in. Rob, I'm going to go to you first. Which draft do you prefer here?
I like what LYON have, to be honest. I think you've got a good setup for Dhokla on that top side, which is going to be a key to success for LYON. And then you've got great 1-3-1, which enables you then for those objective setups, getting down vision, getting control to make sure you have those flank angles. And if you're able to attack HLE before they can set up, I think that's your biggest win here for LYON.
I mean, it's really interesting because I think with nameplates off, I like what HLE have, but knowing that you are the underdogs as LYON, I want variance. I want something that is a little bit more spicy. Even though I see LYON's comp is harder to execute, I like what they have drafted given the circumstances, given that you are going up against the #1 team from the LCK.
Yeah, HLE, certainly nothing to scoff at. You guys already mentioned earlier how there's plenty of World Championship accomplishments here on this roster with these names. Still looking for that MSI title. This is HLE's first MSI as an organization, and being able to make it to finals there, you know that's what they're hungry for.
Yeah, especially for guys like Gumayusi. 5 MSIs in a row, not able to pick up a single title. And he's been doing pretty good on, the other event that we have in the year, Worlds.
Because his arms are full with all those World trophies.
Tough.
He can't carry them both.
But, well, we'll have to see if he can carry on the Ziggs. But it is definitely something that both himself and Zeus are hunting for coming into this.
It's also worth mentioning, it is not just a single TP advantage, it is double TP advantage, because Ryze, of course, plays Ghost these days, but it is also TP Ziggs down there in the bot lane. And Isles is not playing Aftershock, he's not playing Hail of Blades, anything too crazy. It's going to be Spellbook. So Spellbook obviously has a lot of value later on, but if you do have an early all-in, you're really getting nothing from that down in that 2v2, so they're going to have to play pretty well here against Camille, who has so much early game power with the Ignite and the Hail of Blades.
And this is kind of what we got to see from HLE against G2 was if you can get to light out and working with Kanavi, being able to cover some of that early aggression, that was one of the ways that HLE were able to get such an advantageous game one. And I think this is something that we'll continue to see here, especially when you look towards Kanavi and the Jarvan. So good at those counter ganks against the Qiyana.
We just saw Isles, he actually started W, level 1 there. So he was expecting the hookshot start from Delight, so he actually starts with that steadfast presence and is able to reject that hookshot as he's going in. So just really looking to keep Berserker safe. Again, it is more about countering the support than it is about that Ziggs. And look at Isles, there's a roam coming mid here, and the Camille will be spotted.
Okay. Not any play about to happen here just yet, as Berserker does take the opportunity, seeing the enemy support on the roam to put some pressure onto Gumayusi. And you can see on the left side of your screen here, the journey so far at MSI. Both of these teams starting off with a 3-0 against Furia and Team Secret respectively, as Isles again stops that hookshot.
This is actually huge though, because he used the steadfast presence and Jarvan is coming, so he won't have that now as Kanavi's coming in.
Kanavi ready to make the play here for the bottom side. Isles trying to get enough distance, but he does get caught by the EQ combo. Tries to tackle Kanavi away, but no! First blood over to Gumayusi.
Berserker tries to get something back with a deadly flourish, but you called it Azael, a big mistake, and now Delight Tries to get onto Berserker. Good ward to spot out, though.
Yep, lands the stun there from the hook shot. Bouncing bomb, gonna throw in some extra damage. Berserker pops the barrier to keep himself alive, but now down to 100 HP and missing a summoner spell. He's heading home.
I mean, that was just really, really well played there by HLE. Delight obviously is setting it up 10 seconds in advance for Kanavi, timing out that gank perfectly. They know he's moving down. They force a steadfast presence, and then as a result, there's not really much of an opportunity from Isles. I think his only way out might have been flashing the flag drag, but I think he saw it as the flash doesn't get me any more distance than just tackling the Jarvan afterwards, so I feel like it's probably correct to just hold on.
And we remember the first game that Delight played Camille in this tournament. What was it? 3-1 and 3 by 6 or 7 minutes into the game. His performance on this champion can be so suffocating for the enemy team if he gets ahead, if he plays the way that he wants to. And setting up plays like this for Kanavi is exactly what HLE fans want to see.
Exactly, and the gold went right where you'd want it, right? Guma is able to get that gold. The only thing that averts disaster is Berserker living, but they're going to try to get bot and see if they can punish Guma, who's pretty far up. This could work.
Okay, Isles will put himself in position here in the Tribe Rush. Gumayusi going to step forward, flash, stun into the wall, coming out from Isles. Gumayusi with the flash away, but he is blocked there by the steadfast presence. A little bit more damage, they need one more hit coming out from Inspired. They get it! The turret will not get anything in return, but now up here with the top side, Delight makes his roam. The hook shot guarantees that Dhokla has to flash away, but Lion's top laner stays alive.
Still, you end up with that kill on the bottom side, and the early kill for Inspired is massive for the Qiyana. A TP now coming back to the bottom side. Gumayusi having to use that just to try and get back to this lane.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a pretty critical kill there. Gets some gold for Inspired. And even more important, I feel like, was the fact that Dhokla lives. Because if Dhokla loses that wave, Zeus gets a kill, and Zeus takes a plate right after, then all of a sudden, the Sion is a brick wall that you cannot contest. So critical plays on both sides of the map here for LYON. We know that HLE are going to be beasts in the 5v5. We know that to even have a chance in the 5v5, you've got to stay close, or maybe even have a lead by the time you get there.
And we think back to the last series that HLE played up against BLG, and at least for the first 3 games, it was so go the skirmishes, so go the game. Whichever side got ahead in these small scuffles early on was able to snowball it into a victory. Game number 4 had a bit more trading back and forth, a game that was closer for a longer period of time. But if you're LYON, you cannot let HLE always be deciding what's going to happen, because they will push the game forward, and they'll do it fast.
And that's why the early kill for Gumayusi is a little unfortunate for LYON, because it does give the tier to the Ziggs to enable him to push significantly more, which opens up Delight to move more. Even now, that early dragon going across the HLE, this has become such a strong stacking combo in this meta. Get 2 dragons, roam around the map, maybe forgo a couple of them so you can look for plates and gold elsewhere. It is about trying to snowball through this.
Definitely is, and it's also interesting, obviously, Syndra becoming pretty meta in this tournament, but it is only the 4th time in Zeka's entire career that he has actually played the pick, so not a pick that he has shown a lot. Obviously, when he won his first World Championship, he was known as the melee guy, and he has become so much more well-rounded in the years since then, which is incredibly impressive to me, to be able to just advance and advance and advance in your career.
Well, now we've got another play coming up here in the top side as Dhokla tries to use public execution to get away, but no! Decimating smash with the follow-up from Kanavi, and now Isles and Saint trying to get something back, but they found themselves trapped in the Cataclysm. HLE still got a 3v2. Decimating smash finds another. Isles is killed off by Delight's Ignite, and HLE are burning bright in the top lane.
Oh, trying to get one more Inspired!
Inspired goes in for the dive on Kanavi. He wants to get something, but he has to trade his own life to do it, and HLE come out on top in the play.
I think Inspired, once he knew that he was spotted, the jig was up, hide and seek was not going to go well for him, so trades 1 for 1. But that's what LYON expected. They thought that they would have a numbers advantage on the top side, with Saint not prepared for Delight and Kanavi to already be in position.
And honestly, it came down to a couple little things there. If Dokla's able to actually use that public execution to taxi out of the play a little bit here, it could look so differently, because you can see on the map, the HLE members are going to be first here, and then watch this all from Dhokla. He's trying to use that as a taxi over onto the Jarvan, but the sidestep from Kanavi is so critical, because not only is Kanavi avoiding the damage and the stun, it means he doesn't actually close the gap in, but we got to go back to live potentially. It looks like Saint will be okay. They are able to run down and kill Isles, and then we do know Inspired eventually got one back, but yeah, that ult missing, such a big deal.
Yeah, even having a Qiyana there in the backline as well. Inspired didn't come in initially, was trying to stay off that pink ward that was there to try and surprise them, but already knew the play had gone sideways before he could really join in anyway.
You can see the frustration on Dokla's face. He knows that is a pretty big moment. And the one thing working for Inspired in that 1v1 is it was a positive trade as far as the summoners. Kanavi did flash and still died in that moment. So the gold still very close, but Dhokla's top lane matchup getting that much harder as Zeus walks away with a kill and an assist.
Yep, Zeus feeling good with that Sion, just farming up, getting tanky as this game goes forward. And the thing is, LYON's composition has an assassin jungler as well as Jhin as the AD carry. If Zeus gets ahead, if he can get these tank items and become that big meatball, it's going to be so difficult for LYON to punch through him as HLE have started up the grubs. First grub going to be secured here by Kanavi. As LYON arrives on the scene, HLE will walk away.
Yeah, Kanavi didn't have the flash, so a little bit nervous to stick around as Qiyana's ultimate was just about to come back off cooldown. So LYON able to bully them off the creep, should be able to pick up 2 of the Void grubs and just try to position themselves further on this top side to enable Berserker to catch the wave.
One thing I will say, Sion obviously is a brick wall, but they do have some ways to deal with it, particularly Isles and his ult. If you can actually knock someone like the Sion out, if he's going for a Q channel, you knock him out of the fight, all of a sudden, all of the targets are pretty juicy over on the HLE side, but they're going to have to be very clever about how they approach, about the angles that they find, because of course, I agree, it's not a winning proposition to try to fight through Zeus.
It's also why I love the Ryze with the Qiyana as well, because even a Realm Warp to get the Qiyana into the backline, into positions that they're not expecting, can be so crucial. And that's also to do with the point-and-click CC that Ryze can offer for some of these early plays. Although 10 minutes early into the game now, we're going to be looking more at these objectives as a minute until that next dragon. And I think LYON would love to try and at least keep HLE from stacking these.
Exactly. HLE's first dragon, remember, was taken just about 5.5 minutes into the game. Very, very early to get the stacking started. If they can continue keeping that pressure on, then LYON are going to be the ones sweating to try to find an answer before they're under the pressure of surrendering the soul over to HLE. First items are coming online for both of our junglers here, as the Sundered Sky and Voltaic Cyclosword are purchased for Kanavi and Inspired respectively, so similar power spikes for both junglers with 40 seconds left till the dragon spawns.
I will say, while the gold is close, there's a lot of crystals building up on these towers. So if someone wins a team fight, especially if HLE wins a team fight with the Ziggs, you walk up, you knock the crystal off, you have the passive, you could all of a sudden execute that tower and get this massive injection of gold, which could make things incredibly hard for LYON. So I do think if they fight this next dragon, it is going to be critical for LYON.
All right, dragon down to below 15 seconds. You can see Kanavi hanging out around the mid lane here. Does use the sweeper to clear out the vision from Saint on the bottom side river here towards mid lane. Recall from Inspired, going back to base, purchases a serrated Dirk for some extra assassin capability. But with the LYON jungler all the way back home, HLE has total control over the bot side river.
Yeah, I don't think HLE know this though, and that's why they're being a little bit hesitant to start this up. Although I think from LYON's perspective, trying to get into this position now, into river, is going to be tough when you don't really have a true tank. It's kind of just Isles who has to face check this.
Exactly, and with Ziggs and Syndra firing off bombs, scatter the weaks, it's very, very difficult to potentially make your way forward. Saint trying to approach here on the left side. Inspired over the wall. Goes in for supreme display of talent, but Inspired is killed first. Gumayusi with the Mega Inferno Bomb. Isles trapped inside the Cataclysm. HLE has lost their support, but they've killed the enemy support and the jungler as well. The dragon goes over to LYON, so at least they'll take the objective, but they lose out 2-1 in kills.
Saint stepping up again, managing to get the dragon in the middle of all of that for LYON. So even with those kills going over, it's still a very small goal lead for HLE, but objective secured.
Exactly. I think because they got that dragon, it really does bail them out, and even getting a plate off the back of that there for Saint means the gold actually got closer, even though they did go down a kill. We can see this one more time. Inspired is just looking for the steal, trying to go for the angle over, and as soon as the light does show here, he goes in and looks to 100-0 him. Watch the Jhin W coming through, trying to burst him down. Saint is getting in there, and they are able to burst down Inspired as the Mega Inferno Bomb lands, but then that spell flux through everything. The Q bounces, and that's what actually secured it.
Yeah, insane stuff there. They're managing to get that. And I think this, for LYON, it's massive. Like, you actually get to keep that gold lead within touching distance. You're stopping that dragon stacking. It gives you a lot more opportunities to start moving around the map. And I think we're starting to see from Inspired, like, that kind of risky gameplay that he talked about. Like, he was saying, when I'm playing against these top teams, I need to take some more risks. Yeah. He's full sent it there, but it was his combo, despite him dying, that set up that win.
No, and I completely agree. I mean, this is something that whoa, we're going to see a play.
Oh, Dhokla goes in for the public execution, wants the solo kill onto Zeka, but the light is ready to try to stop him. Dhokla's all the way underneath that turret, and he grabs the kill. Hextech ultimatum keeps him underneath the turret for so long that the Light gets one in trade. It's a 1-for-1 in the top side.
Really well done there by Dhokla. Knew Zeka had no ultimate, but it's a trade of flashes. He gets the kill, and he gets the ulti off of Delight there, and had Delight not been there, it would have been a free kill. So Dhokla gets that Eclipse, goes in aggressively, takes down Zeka, and Zeka's going to be very vulnerable now with Inspired having flash, and Isles' flash will be up before his too.
And 2 minutes into the Rift Herald, that's the next big objective, right? If you can start taking some of these turrets, Lion can keep HLE on their side. You don't get some of the scaling that the Ziggs would love.
Ooh,
Isles managing to just about get out of that. And yeah, but still, I think you're in a decent spot now as Lion. But the only thing is that 1.2k gold lead is all on Gumayusi in that bot lane. That Ziggs is still quite large. That Luden's Echo is still a problem when you come to this next fight.
Exactly, and that is only going to be exacerbated if HLE takes control over the top side river first when it comes to this Rift Herald that we're talking about. Having to approach a Rift Herald that is protected by Gumayusi and the zone control that Ziggs provides is a very tall task for Lion, as Dhokla trapped underneath the tier 1 turret up here. It's a 4-man play coming out from HLE, and it's way too easy. Kanavi takes the kill. Dhokla goes down, and Gumayushi's going to put in work on the turret, bringing it potentially low enough for a satchel charge here soon.
I wonder if there is an angle, though, for Lion to try to play this now with no Mega Inferno Bomb, with no Hextech Ultimatum, with no Cataclysm available. Those are some pretty big ults. And there's not really any backup here until Inspired can wrap around behind, but Kanavi's there to cover, so I don't think this is going to be much of a play.
Yeah, Isles literally on an island there. Was not going to have any sort of support there, so he ends up just kind of forcing Gumayusi back. Still, though, this is what HLE have been so devastating at doing when they have this Ziggs, is constantly shifting Gumayusi around the map, looking for these quick plays to take down turret plates. Only a single plate now standing on that turret in the top side, and Gumayusi just going to roam mid to pick up the wave.
And we were talking about how close they were keeping it. Well, all of a sudden, it is a 2K gold lead here for HLE, just like that. And that is before a first tower was claimed, and that top lane tower is looking quite vulnerable. So Lion have got to try to hang on to this and staunch that bleeding a little bit, because if Guma, who's already so accelerated, is able to get up there and satchel that tower, it's going to be a massive lead for him.
And you can see that lead right there in your Coinbase gold grind, just about 1,300 more than what Berserker has on the Jhin. Gumayusi, very powerful, needlessly large Raj in inventory, and you can look at the top side river, look at the vision placed down by both sides. You've got the control wards in the area for HLE's side. They got their eyes on this.
But Kanavi and Delight are down on this bottom side, maybe giving up space on this Rift Herald to see if they can make a play towards Dhokla again before that flash comes up. And Qiyana, for Inspired, has only just reset, so you're not exactly in a position to rush it. Although Line giving good respect to us, HLE not able to find that play bot side.
The reset from Inspired does provide him with the purchase of the Edge of Night, so the extra ability to block a spell may come in critical here.
No flash.
As now Zeka trying to protect himself underneath the tier 1 turret. Isles wanted to approach and just barely survive. Scatter the weak into the unleashed power from Zeka. Takes the enemy support down to 10% HP as HLE calls in the cavalry and looks for a counterpunch. Gumayusi going to throw a bomb, won't get a whole lot out of it. Realm Warp to try to get Saint away, but Isles is already down. Mega Inferno Bomb yet again, but one is going to be traded back by Lion. Delight about to die here too. Saint's going to take the kill, and Lion have a 2-for-1 so far. Zeus and Dhokla both arrive into the fight as Dhokla continues looking potentially for an opportunity here. The Rift Herald down to half HP, and Lion have control over the objective.
And that is massive. Isles with such an aggressive play. I don't think HLE were expecting that, because Isles was on 10-20% HP, gets the flash stun into the Qiyana ult, the Jhin ult opens up, Saint arrives. That was beautiful from Lion, and getting that Herald means, at least for now, HLE cannot claim that free first tower, which we're trying to slow them down for on the side of Lion.
Yeah, I went HLE. I was like, Isles, you're a psycho. Gumayusi has ult. You're on 3 HP, but he full sends it, managing to perfectly synergize with Inspired. And I love the way Lion are playing this. Like, hey, we will trade 1, but we will get 2. And it's kind of been the story of how they're trying to go for this thus far, and it's working out relatively well for them.
Lion are going to secure the first turret in the top lane by focusing on that, because they know that HLE want to go for the third Drake now, making it that much more critical that Lion and Saint specifically stole away the second one. Otherwise, this would already be a soul point situation.
I mean, this is big. They were down over 2,000 gold 3 minutes ago, and they have now brought it to a very slight lead on the side of Lion, and they didn't even use the Herald to get it. Now they're trying to set up for Zeka here again, but unbeknownst to Dhokla, there are a lot of other HLE members in the area.
Hey, Lion also floating their jungler and support nearby. Kanavi and Delight spotted out now as Zeka pushes forward towards the tier 1 turret. Isles, nice use of the steadfast presence, as now they want to go in after Kanavi. The damage comes through and Kanavi dies, but he trades his life for Inspired. Both junglers already out of the picture as Gumayusi's going to get caught. The public execution lives up to its name, and Gumayusi falls in front of LYON, 2 for 1.
Gumayusi didn't have his camera pointed behind him, and LYON are taking snapshots at this one. Incredible stuff. LYON's patience from Dhokla seals the deal.
Yeah, that was crazy from Dhokla. He was up in that top lane for such a long time, waiting and waiting and waiting until they were spotted in the enemy jungle. And it's his patience that really did set up. He is way up there in the top lane looking for this wraparound. And again, Isles is the one setting it up. Stun with that steadfast presence into Inspired's ult, into the wallbang, into the root from Berserker. The CC is very deadly. And then Dhokla here catching him with the ult.
But it's again this style of, hey, one will die so the others may live and thrive off the back of it, right? You're getting this combo between the Poppy and the Qiyana who are giving their life, but then it's the follow-up afterwards that's going so well.
One lion dies for the good of the pack.
Excuse me, sir. It's called a pride of lions.
Yeah.
Let them have their pride.
Look,
in the
if
way.
anyone can see the smiles beaming on your face, they know it's pride right now, okay?
I mean, for a North American team to be able to answer the map movements and the team fight cohesion of Korea's #1 seed is a rare occasion, right? HLE is a team that has not lost to anybody at this tournament except for BLG. Again, they swept Team Secret Whales and G2 in phenomenal fashion, and LYON know they've got to be ready to answer everything these guys are coming at them with, and finding that pick on Gumayusi is exactly what they needed.
You say it's a rare occasion, but I'm thinking back to FlyQuest and Gen G pushing them to 5 games. They've nearly been able to take them down. Like, you are no stranger in the LCS from pushing these teams to the limit.
And TL had some good series against T1 before that, but they haven't been able to get across the line, right? And that is Inspired's goal. He has talked about that. He wants to be able to. Exactly. He wants to be able to get across the line at least once against one of these top LCK and LPL teams. They haven't had the opportunity so far this tournament because the expected opponent top got knocked out by Secret Whales, who they then knocked out. Then the expected opponent T1 got knocked out by G2, who they then knocked out.
Yeah, and you can see right there the man's own words. I want to win against an LCK or LPL team. I told myself I would focus on just one game and do my best to win the next game. This one right now rests on a knife's edge. It is a small gold lead for HLE. They are up the single Drake, so they do have the advantage, but the way that the team fight plays out is going to be so much more important.
I think it's the 2-item spikes that are the scariest right now for HLE. Like Zeka having 2, Gumayusi hitting on towards that as well. Even looking at that top side, like Zeus is quite large and kind of becoming in charge of this game as well. So I'm wondering now when we get to this next fight, can we have LYON with an earlier reset for Inspired so we get to the fight first, finds the creative angles, because I think it's pivotal to the success of LYON here.
I really agree, and I also think this next 10 minutes, the game is going to be decided one way or the other, because I think when Syndra and Ziggs both have Zhonya's, it gets really, really hard for LYON. So, you know, now there is that opportunity. If you can get on a Guma, you can maybe one-shot him. If you can get on a Zeka, you can maybe one-shot him. When they have Zhonya's, when they have all these luxury items and GAs, it gets so much harder, I think. And the same, I don't think, is really as true for LYON and the items that they're going to be grabbing.
Yeah, especially when you're playing in this AP carry role, like you get so much access to gold. Getting those luxury defensive items comes so fast as well. So Gumayusi can already see sitting on the needlessly large rod. He can pop off for the Seeker's arm guard and then see if he has to pop it. If not, great, we go straight for the Rabadons. You have so many options here for Gumayusi in the build path. But there's that Herald used. I wouldn't say it's optimal, but definitely was about to time out.
Yeah, they just kind of had to use it. Unfortunately, not the most effective, Shelly, as it'll walk down mid lane. HLE would love to just pop this before it can ever make its way all the way to the turret, and it looks like that's exactly what we're going to get. Herald down below 2,000 HP. No charge out of that one. So nice job from HLE, not giving LYON the opportunity to use the Herald the way they want. Scatter the Weak flies out. Steadfast presence right back to the Delight. Supreme display of talent takes him low, but HLE's support stays alive for now. LYON almost got the pick, but close doesn't count. HLE regroups. Delight's going to take a recall. Burst coming in from Gumayusi. Inspired nearly killed off with a Mega Inferno Bomb. Has to flash away. Kanavi looking to re-enter. Zeka also chunked below half. Bullets being traded back and forth, but nobody falls. Curtain call opens. Zeka trying to get himself away. Berserker needs to dial it in, but no, all 4 miss.
Yeah, and that's going to mean HLE will grab this dragon. They focused onto Inspired. They forced his flash defensively. Isles has been so quick on the reactions. They tried to burst down Delight, but they didn't quite have the damage. It didn't seem as though Saint or Berserker could really get involved, so it was just the two hitting, and they weren't able to burst him down. He gets away, then Zeka gets away at low HP. Inspired has to go back to base, and it is HLE now on Soul Point here. The gold is close, but you give them Hextech Soul, and the combat power is not close.
Yeah, I think Lion's reading that was that everything from HLE was about to come over that wall. So you got Inspired with the ultimate. Isles trying to keep people in check, but they don't commit, but Delight, so they're able to back away. And he had that flash to escape in that last engagement as well. So HLE, their patience paying off there because they avoided a lot of that follow-up from Lion.
Okay, so important to note, right now, Inspired has his Guardian Angel on Qiyana. Saint is 2 stacks away from fully stacked on the Rod of Ages. So one big power spike already online, another one now 60 seconds out for Saint. We talked about how important these Zonias are going to be for the 2 mages on HLE. This is the response, I feel like, from Lion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, obviously the road taking over is big, but really it's the fact that it gets you to 16. You get that rank 3 of that Spell Flux. The bouncing damage gets so high. And when you get that actualizer that he's going to be building towards next, that plus level 16, that is a massive power point for them. Berserker likely working in towards his Infinity Edge next. That'll be another big one. Guma at this point in the game, I'm thinking is probably just going straight towards Roa.
Delight tries to go in for the dive. Berserker gets himself away for now. But there's your Mega Inferno Bomb, and Gumayusi torches him. Now Zeus has to try to get out of the way of the turret as Isles uses the Keeper's Verdict to knock away HLE as the remaining players try to escape. Isles still here on the front line, but he and Dhokla have to try to fall back. Kanavi goes further forward as Dhokla tries to stand and fight. Inspired and Saint can't provide enough damage, and the dust settles as a 1-for-1.
Zeus' health bar is just too tanky to get through. You end up with the pick onto Berserker, and the tower now going down for HLE with a quick collapse on the mid lane.
Yeah, very close fight here. The gold remaining quite even. It looked a bit crazy, this initial dive here, but they had seen Dhokla on bot side, and I guess they see the Poppy on the side as well. They see Inspired on that ward, so they have a lot of vision, and they realize you can't respond fast enough, even though they kill off Delight. That Ziggs ult is just so much damage.
And I thought here Dhokla might try and ult Zeus while he's underneath the tower. He didn't have that the flash, but instead they waited until Isles ended up getting that knock away. But it means that Zeus is just able to kind of back. Like, you just don't have enough damage in the tank to get through this health bar, especially with the early Spirit Visage picked up by Zeus. Like, Saint just doesn't have it.
And you saw there, too, not a whole lot of value out of Inspired's supreme display of talent. Kind of just flew into the tier 1 turret. Wanted to make sure that they were at least able to get the kill on Delight, but he was already dead. So Lion getting 1-for-1, but losing the turret at the end means HLE still comes out on top in that one. And the Rabadon's death cap now completed for Gumayusi means that this 2,000 gold lead on the Ziggs will be disastrous for Lion if they get caught in the AoE.
I mean, that's 2K getting dropped right on your head every time Delight throws down the ulti. There's no real escape for Berserker, even though Isles, I think, did the intelligent build, rushed towards a locket, might even be going Knight's Vow second. He's going to do everything he can to try to keep Berserker alive, but that Ziggs ult is going to be 60-70% of your HP, it feels like, at this point if he hits the sweet spot.
Which is why it works so well with the Camille. The lock down into it makes it so easy to just shoot the fish in the barrel. And at this point, I think HLE, they have enough control over the map to try and keep that pressure up. You've got Isles Delight is leaning down towards this bottom side, and also Kanavi potentially looking for Saint in the top half.
And if you're Lion now, this is a one-fight game. I don't think you can give up Hextech Soul and expect to win from this position. It is a gold lead really that means nothing at this point of the game. It is only 1K. Obviously, the individual lead for Guma is big, but we still have Saint now on 3 items. We have Inspired on 3.5. This is the fight they must win. They have to deny the soul if they want to have a chance to continue, where HLE really just needs this one fight, and they could probably secure the game.
Berserker must be close to this Infinity Edge. He's been sitting on both these items for so long. I feel like one more wave, he should be able to pick it up, which is where Dhokla nicely leaving that mid-wave for him, but it does mean that you've got to get a quick reset as this Jhin to try and finish off that third item.
Yeah, I wonder if he is. It's hard to know because he's down a full 2K, right? And it is Guma on just those 3 items with the tier on top.
Yeah, maybe he's not.
So I don't think he's going to get there before the next dragon spawns, and there's no real vision here for Lion. HLE with a great setup, and are going to look to punish anyone from Lion who steps a foot wrong.
And this is what I'm talking about. Trying to arrive second to the objective against Ziggs and Syndra is so difficult for LYON. HLE knows it. They're grouped up here in the mid lane, and Saint is caught. Hextech Ultimatum will seal his fate, and the Mega Inferno Bomb burns his bones. HLE find a critical pick right before Dragon Soul.
Blink and you miss it. The river was dark, and they just lit up Saint immediately upon entry. HLE, it's just gone. They've got us. The soul is theirs.
It's a beautiful play there. Delight setting it up. Hookshot flash catches Saint, and Saint gets destroyed there. As we see the Dragon Soul claimed in our MasterCard priceless moment of the game. HLE now with a stranglehold on this one. It is just so fast, so decisive here from HLE. They have that one ward, and Saint does not know he's on vision. Instantly they go in. Even with the flash, you cannot escape the Camille ult. There's no way out for Saint. You can see the look of dejection there.
It was also such a hard re-entry for LYON because you want to be coming in from multiple angles. Inspired is trying to see if you can play around vision on that bottom side. Same when you look towards Dhokla. It just leaves you so isolated for these picks, and that is the moment where this Camille support shines, when she can just narrow down one target and blow them up with the rest of the team.
Delight on Camille is the truth, man. You've got the Actualizer done for Saints Ryze. You've got the Infinity Edge done for Berserker's Jhin. But for a game where we've been talking about this whole time, it's never really been more than a 2,000 gold lead. So, okay, that's not much to write home about, but the Hextech Soul, the slowing chain lightning that you get from the proc on this thing is going to be so obnoxious for LYON to try to deal with, and I feel like HLE feels like they had to have just won the game with that pick into the objective.
Very likely. I mean, the only hope for LYON is one-shotting one of these carries because they are going full damage here. None of them working towards that Zhonya's at all so far. And so that is your hope, that is your prayer, but the difficulty has been HLE have never given them angles. LYON have never been able to get vision around these objectives, so they're always walking in blind. And when you're walking in blind as this comp that has to surprise your opponents, it's just not going to happen. You're not going to find that angle, and HLE have been turning off the lights.
Yeah, Isles discovered by Kanavi here in the jungle. HLE bringing in some backup. Kanavi has to try to disengage as Guma just throws Isles right onto the minefield with the satchel. That's an enemy support down for quite a while now. 25 seconds on the clock as HLE starts up the Baron. LYON is nearby. Dhokla has his teleport available. The remaining LYON players in mid lane. Do they want to try to challenge for this? Inspired wrapping around behind the enemy red buff as Zeka and Gumayusi try to keep everybody else on LYON, zoned away. Delight trying to mark Inspired, make sure he can't jump into the pit and look to steal the Baron. Delight with a hook shot, Inspired stunned up. Gumayusi's very low, stays alive for now, sidesteps Deadly Flourish. Inspired with the kill on Delight, but now HLE's gonna try to run. The teleport arrives from Isles. He's in the middle of everybody, he flashes away here with a steadfast presence, tackling right back into HLE. Damage over the wall from Gumayusi. Isles is already down yet again, Mega Inferno Bomb forces resurrection out of Inspired. Dhokla dies, but Zeus follows. The zombie's gonna reanimate as Berserker's gonna try to deal with Kanavi and Zeka. Kanavi's gonna lose his Guardian Angel as Zeus' dead body pulverizes Inspired. Saint tries to get away. Zeka, Guma, Kanavi, all still alive. Saint the only man standing here on the LYON side as he continues to try to mount his escape. Gumayusi re-arrives. Kanavi looking to lead the charge. Saint hit with a knockup combo. HLE get the ace.
It was so close until it wasn't. You thought for a moment there LYON might have been able to pull it off, but Guma survives on low HP. Berserker tries to go for the heroics flashing over the wall, and it just fell flat on its face here. The start is great for LYON. They had pushed out Guma, who's playing on the side at so low HP. The Spellbook TP arrived from Isles, knocks them back in, and you think just maybe there is that chance here, but Guma is dealing damage over the wall the entire time. And then Berserker feels like he finds an angle and looks to flash over the wall onto Zeka. Thought he could one-auto Zeka, but Zeka instantly flash responds back over the wall, and as soon as Berserker dies, that is that. I feel like he could have played it slower.
Yeah, I mean, even the TP from Isles was great, but ends up getting the dash onto the... or doesn't end up getting the dash onto Zeka, which just means that Zeka's able to play it back. Dhokla doesn't end up with the public execution onto him. Tiny, tiny things going wrong for LYON, and what showed that there's still life in them, but it may have just been stuffed out.
And you could see in the damage recap there the big difference between the bottom lane carries As Dhokla and Delight get into a bit of a scrap, Isles already down below half HP. Delight should die. Hextech Ultimatum isn't going to do a whole lot as Zeus arrives in now with the teleport. Immediately rejected with the Keeper's Verdict. Kanavi goes in for the massive 3-man engage, followed up with the Scout of the Week! Berserker at least gets the kill. Kanavi is down. Dhokla's in the middle of 2. Zeka takes him out alongside Zeus. The double kill for the Syndra. It's a 2-for-2 trade, but LYON's health bars are critically low. Gumayusi and Zeus continue their push.
They can go for this bot lane tier 2, still make it worth for HLE. LYON trying to see if they can find any moment to get a pick, but just being turned around thanks to that TP from Zeus.
It absolutely is, and every time you think LYON might have a chance, you have to look and realize Zeka's still alive, Guma's still alive. They are ridiculously strong at this point. 18 stacks on the Magi's, and now the double Seekers comes in. And those might be the items to close the door here. LYON hanging on much better than I thought they would have been able to after the Hextech Soul was taken. They're trying to find these picks, they're trying to find these plays, but it is so difficult to get in onto Zeka and Guma.
Guma is the story of this game, man. These mega Inferno bombs on top of Delight's Hextech ultimatums. Isles gets away right there. Gumayusi up 3,500 gold individually right now. I said it at the end of the fight on the top side. Everybody else's damage meters were comparable on both sides, and he doubled the output of Berserker's Jhin. Gumayusi has been the X factor in this game, and now you've got this mega fed Ziggs as you're pushing the enemy base, and these satchels will obliterate turrets.
Yeah, I really think this has been one of the strongest versions of HLE we've seen, with the Ziggs for Gumayusi so safe. He's been so potent on it, and Delight being able to move around the Camille, but
LYON's
they've stuck him behind.
Elder here. We'll see if they can actually finish it. HLE don't know yet.
This is a wild gambit coming out from LYON. As Kanavi has approached, Satan Inspired looking to put the damage here onto the objective. Mega Inferno Bomb over the top of the objective. Bounty is going to be claimed. Elder secured now for the LYON side. Saint trying to get himself away. Dhokla dives in and he finds the first kill. Gumayusi's caught inside the steadfast presence, but he flashes over the wall. He's going to be taken out. Public execution coming out from Dhokla. LYON on the hunt, looking for a little bit more, but Zeka goes in with the unleashed power. Kanavi is taken low, slammed back into the wall by Isles, and they will execute him with a Dragon's Roar. Zeus and Zeka getting away for now, and LYON find the only angle to keep themselves in this game.
It's a stroke of genius there from Inspired and Saint, sneaking away the Elder here. Look at this. They use the gates to get out on the map, and then they go around here off of vision. Saint just pushes out the wave, and they have no idea that they walked into the Elder. They rush it down. HLE gets here in time, but Inspire wins the smite.
Yeah, so insane. They give up the mid lane tower and say, no, this is the best way for us to turn this game back around. Inspired gets the smite. Saint with the realm warp out. Dhokla being a hero, going all in on the backline of HLE. What a play from LYON.
And now LYON is looking to do even more. They've still got the Elder for 1 minute and 15 seconds. They want to try to use this power to catch back up to have a chance against HLE, but Gumayusi's wave clear alongside Zeka is so difficult to get through. Now Isle's going to be in some danger here yet again, just fine. They're not going to overcommit any tools on the HLE side to pick the enemy support.
And you can see LYON wanted to try to pose for a potential tower dive there, but as soon as you hear the Sion ult, they got to back up. This guy is still an absolute brick wall. Zeus has been so difficult to deal with. Guma has been dealing the damage, and Zeus has been making the space on the Sion. Jhin is now on 4 items, though he's getting towards that later game stage, and if he can get those last couple items, you can actually start to threaten tanks on the Jhin in the late game. Ryze also building up some flat pen here, working in towards that Void Staff, but LYON still, it's the slimmest of margins if they want to try to win this one.
But it's also at this stage, like, there's so much damage in the LYON comp that if you do misstep, like, you can't just be burst out. Like, even with those Onyas, you may just not have a chance to try and pick or use them. And even now, another Seeker's on towards Berserker as well, just getting rid of these tools where you can find those picks for HLE.
And I actually think it's so smart because Ziggs ult is a one-shot. Syndra ult is a one-shot. Kanavi locking you in, you might just get burst down. A GA is not going to do anything for you.
No.
Seekers might in these situations. So this is a game where Berserker is saying, you know what, yeah, I'm not going to get a lot out of Seekers, but it might be a one-fight game. This might be the component that could do the most for me.
And you've seen where Inspired is basically just sitting. He's constantly just picking off these threats to see if he can move into positions to catch people as they set up on the mid wave. Just doing anything he can to try and figure out where HLE are and those squishy members, again, they can be burst out at a moment's notice.
All right, HLE controlling the top side river as the Baron spawns yet again. Scuttlecrab vision secured by Zeka. Level 20 on Zeus' Sion. Protoplasm harness already completed. This is going to come down to one big explosive fight, but HLE certainly still has the edge.
They absolutely do, and both Saint and Berserker are missing their flash. Guma does not have his, neither does Delight, but neither of the critical carries here on Lion having their flash makes these fights so tough.
Guardian Angel up for both junglers. Stasis available for both mid laners as well as both bottom lane carries. Serpent's Fang fully completed for Dhokla to try to cut through some of the shielding that's on so many of the HLE champions. Lion are going to have to execute perfectly if they want a chance, but Berserker has already lost half his HP. As Inspired's going to be your target up here for the top side. Kanavi goes in after him. Inspired fighting inside the Cataclysm, getting away for now. Zeus charges in. Isles is about to die. Gumayusi's already found the first kill, and Inspired is locked up. He's knocked out of his Guardian Angel, and Lion are trying to run. Berserker's bullets do nothing in the face of HLE. Zeka is dominating, and Lion is crushed. HLE pushing for the throat.
HLE saw their target. It was Inspired when he showed on top wave, and the rest of Line are falling as HLE want to take it.
Berserker is nothing but a golden trophy for the LCK #1 seed. All 5 players stand tall. They will march to the Nexus. They will bulldoze the Nexus turrets. And after a 39-minute battle, HLE take game 1.
What a back and forth game 1, but really, what a performance from Guma. Desk, what do you think?
I think I just saw Lion's heart break in 4K.